Hey you, welcome back to the channel. And guys, we did our premiere of season 7 of Game of Thrones, and some interesting things happened. So guys, as we go into our final 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, which really is only one season, I believe we got about 7 episodes for season 7, 6 episodes remaining for season 8, and that's it. That's a wrap. So that's a total of 13 episodes. 13 episodes generally make up one season of a TV show. But of course here we're dealing with Game of Thrones, where every episode is like a movie. But even so, guys, I'm still looking at this as one solid season left of Game of Thrones. And there's a lot of story to be told that's remaining. And I just feel like, coming into this this first episode of the season Dragonstone, that it followed a pattern to all the other season premieres of Game of Thrones, where we kind of have this, fast pickup in the beginning, but then it kind of levels off and it does this thing. And normally that's been fine with Game of Thrones, storytelling. But I just think the stakes are too high now. I think it's too much story left to tell. Too much with the White Walkers going on. Too much with Jon discovering who he is. It's just too much stuff, I think, to be able to wrap this up in what I see basically is one season. And just have people react to that. And so that's kind of been a great concern for me, with how this episode did. Now, again, this was a good episode, great episode, but I just think the stakes are so high now that they need to really be moving along as quickly as possible. Going ahead and tying up stories. I feel like they should be tying up things every episode. And I just feel like they just left quite a bit open, although we did get Arya in the beginning, go ahead and knocking the first out like a lot of people predicted. We kind of got the return of Walder Free here, as Arya did her faceless man changing skills, and what I want to say about that, some questions have been arising about that. I mean, for some seasons now, especially it's bothered me, is that when Arya does this thing, or when the faceless men take the faces, they seem to inhabit all the properties of the person that they took. So it's more than just a face. We have to assume it's some type of magic that shapes and changes their entire form, like a complete shapeshifter, even though they've just taken the face. But I think what helps me to deal with that is I kind of think of it like Melisandre's ability to glamour herself. Like when we saw the episode with the Red Woman, where she was basically her real appearance is that of a very old woman. Some believe she may be near 1,000 years old, but when she glamours herself with the charm or the necklace she uses, she appears youthful and young, through some type of magic, and she's actually, inhabits all those properties of a young woman. She's actually physically young. So I think with the faceless man magic, in my mind, it kind of makes sense that the magic actually changes them completely into this person, right? That's the only way I can explain it. But Arya is able to become Walder Frey and convince all the lords of the Freys to basically, or the lords now of River Run, to basically drink poison to their death. So Arya took them out, and very easily and very quickly. And if Arya could do that, as an assassin, it does become quite easily and quite possible that she can just kind of march down to King's Landing and kill Cersei, possibly. So that was very interesting. We got a cameo. We got this cameo of the singer-performer, great singer Ed Sheeran. And people who know him, who follow his music, they know exactly who he is. He was basically portraying a Lannister guard, and I found that also quite interesting because we kind of got to see the Lannisters, just regular guys join the Lannister army, off to fight a war, just want to come home like everybody else. So we get to see this complexity of the George R. Martin world where everybody's not good or bad. It's people who are just regular people caught on the opposite ends of the war, but they're very hospitable to Arya. In the scene, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're going to try to rape her or attack her. Arya's looking at these swords and weapons, like she's trying to figure out if I'm going to need these or not. But these guys are just very hospitable. They just want to, go home. After the war, they're missing home now, and so Arya makes a joke about, basically, hey, I'm going to kill your queen. I'm going to kill Cersei, and they just laugh because, of course, they think she's just, being humorous and various things like that. But obviously Arya is serious. But I guess one of my favorite scenes, in this entire episode, for me, had to be Euron Greyjoy's arrival to King's Landing. I just liked his entire performance there. I thought it was funny. He's like this pirate, and he's telling all these stories. Obviously, he's there to marry Cersei, to be an ally to the Lannisters, is basically expressed by Jaime to Cersei that we have no allies. We're surrounded by enemies on every side. But Euron Greyjoy, for me, he was the best part of this episode, the most entertaining. I liked everything they did with Euron Greyjoy. I'm going to be very interested in seeing his story. His story to me was the most exciting. Now, like I said, Game of Thrones has this pattern of where they do this. They pick up and throughout the season, and you'll get to kind of like maybe the middle of it, like episode 4 or 5, and you'll get some real good episodes, and then you get around 8 or 9, and you have these. Well, in this case, I'm going to assume it's going to probably be like episodes 5 and 6, where they're probably going to have some super large battles. And Game of Thrones might be kind of just holding back. They might have just did that on the first episode. Maybe these next 6 episodes are going to be epic, with the large scale battles, and maybe next year season 8 is going to just go full blast. I can believe that because they've spent a lot of money and we haven't seen a whole lot yet. So I'm confident that these episodes are going to pick up real good, and we're going to get a great show. But anyway, we understand that Euron Greyjoy, he wants to marry Cersei. He wants to, I guess, rule alongside with her. And he's saying he's going to go off and bring her a gift. Now, some people have some speculations about what that gift may be. I was kind of tipped off in some earlier shots and scenes about Game of Thrones, about what exactly Euron Greyjoy is doing. And I'm not going to say what that is, but exactly to give it away. But what I will say is the gift he's bringing Cersei is going to be a gift that she really appreciates. So he's going to really bring her a great gift. And this guy's taunting Jaime, and because obviously he's aware of the the rumors about the ancestral relationship between Jaime and Cersei. So he's taunting her, and or Jaime rather, and and because he wants to now be Cersei's suitor. So yeah, very very interesting stuff. We also got we got Bran actually getting into the wall. Now, there's been a lot of concerns about Bran making it to the wall with the Night's King after him, and can now the Night King enter beyond the wall due to the fact that he was able to do that and break the magic at the Three-Eyed Ravens compound there. And so that's a concern that may happen. But we also got to see in the opening shots the army of the dead, marching forward, and they have giants. They have reanimated giants, and that's kind of interesting because that's a question never really came up. Like, and we had never saw that. Like, were there giants as part? What are these dead giants? Were they reanimated? Were they ever part of the Night King's army or the White Walker's army? And we get to see they are, so that's going to make it even harder. We got several of these giants they got to fight. So I mean, that's gonna be real tough to deal with. And we also got to see the Hound. We got to see the Hound now accepting that that they're telling the truth. People like Beric Dondarrion now. It shouldn't have been really hard, I don't think, for the Hound to kind of figure these anyway, that they were basically telling the truth about everything that was going on, because he had himself killed Beric Dondarrion, and Beric Dondarrion was brought back, and the Hound's basically trying to question Beric Dondarrion about why it is that he's so special, because he doesn't think he's special at all, and Beric Dondarrion's agreeing with him that he's not really special, but obviously the Lord of Light sees something in him. And now he sees something in the Hound, because he's allowing the Hound to see really what they're up against. And so that's very interesting with what's going on with the Hound. And, Beric Dondarrion, Thoros Amir, and their fight with the White Walkers. And of course, we know they're going to join up with Jon Snow, and they're all going to fight together, as they are all part of the same cause now. So that's going to be interesting to see their team up and dealing with all these White Walkers. And finally, we basically get Daenerys arriving at Dragonstone, and we've been seeing Dragonstone for several seasons now, but we've never seen Dragonstone like this. The Dragonstone might be one of the coolest for me, because I like very organic castles. It's something that looks alive about how they've done Dragonstone. All the dragon carvings. Its layout, its location. Just something very interesting about Dragonstone. A lot of it we didn't get to see when it was under Stannis' control, perhaps due to budget constraints. But with the episodes of Stannis, him being a Baratheon, and the Baratheon hatred for the Targaryens. I'm glad that Stannis didn't decide, the Baratheons didn't decide to destroy Dragonstone, or at least try to deface some of the dragon imagery and various things like that, because I really do think it's a very beautiful castle, and and I just like everything about it. And we get Daenerys arriving home. She was there as a child, whisked off during the Robert's rebellion and the siege of the Red Keep. And I don't know how much of it she remembers, if anything at all, because she's such a young. I don't think she remembers anything at all. But she comes home like you can tell it feels like home for her. Like it's something very familiar somehow to her. And I like the final scene where she goes into the ready room, or the map room, where they have the big table that, if memory serves me correctly, that Aegon the Conqueror had carved himself to conquer Westeros. So that table's a very very important heirloom to Daenerys that she's going to use now in conquering Westeros like her ancestor did. And then she ends the scene with saying, "Shall we begin?" And I liked all of that. Guys. I really enjoyed. This was in a normal Game of Thrones season review. This would have been an A+ episode. I would have gave this 5 stars. But the reason I can't get this episode 5 stars is because I just believe at this point the stakes are too high. There's too much story to tell. This dragging the stories out like we do in regular episodes when we got several seasons ahead of us to tell a story, those days are over. Guys, we're technically in our final episode and too much to tell. And I can see this all ending bittersweet, as George R.R. Martin says, because I just feel it's going to be a lot of things unresolved. There's going to be a lot of characters we're not going to have a lot of time to really delve into, because it's just not enough time left to tell this complicated story. But anyway, guys, all in all, enjoyed the episode. Let me know if you liked this episode. Tell me what your favorite parts were. Guys, if you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. And until next time, take care.